Hi, so I am here with Karen Allen, who is the writer of the play The Countdown. And we've got a few friends here with us as well. They work primarily with young people. So we wanted to have a little discussion about the play and also some of the issues around the play and give people some insight into why you felt it was really important that this play was written and that it was put on, because you put it on once, right?
Right, we have, yeah, in August.
You right? You put it on in August, and then you, due to public demand, which is amazing, you've gone ahead and put it on again. And this is totally, there's no public funding, right?
None whatsoever. It's all literally, well, it's funded by the public who are donating.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but not in terms of government funding, nothing like that we haven't received. So it's literally just the heart of the community coming together to make this possible.
So Karen, why the Countdown, and why this medium? Why did you choose a play?
Yeah. Okay. So the actual Countdown itself was both, as I was explaining to someone just recently, that it was both a call and a response. I believe it was a call to action for me as a mother of 5, 4 boys and 1 girl, and it was also a response to what has been happening in our community over a number of years, but it's as accelerated, especially over the past couple of years. And in particular, earlier this year, I think it was around about May, there was a teenage boy who was killed over the weekend in my area in Enfield, and 2 other teenagers who were stabbed. So there was like 3 stabbings in one setting. And it really got my attention at the time, and I questioned, what can I do as a response to this? What can, because it's good, and it's all good and well us saying we want to do something, we have to do something, but the question was, what can I do? And I had actually come up with the concept of doing a drama the year prior, but it just came up again this year. I was like, well, let's just do something creative that will at least address the issue and cause a conversation. So literally that is how the Countdown came about this year.
Okay, that's and it's amazing, because I think one of the things that I've realised is that, and if I'm entirely honest, you know, being a young person, the last thing you really want to do is be like maybe sitting in church or being even told what to do. I know that as a mum, my daughter and my son, they don't want to hear from me, really. Right. And there is a constant battle between what I'm trying to teach them at home and what the streets are trying to teach them, or what other kids are trying to teach them. So it's so powerful that you've chosen to use, you know, a tool or a language that they can get. Yeah. So I think the first thing I really want to ask around that is, what were the key issues that you wanted to address in this play?
And I'm glad that we have everyone who's here, because everyone played a part in me deciding on what the key issues were. So Courtney's here, who you'll introduce shortly, but the absent fathers was an issue that we wanted to touch on. Sherica will talk as well. Child sexual exploitation, we wanted to touch on. My sister Lisa, who's here, who's worked in the field of social work and etc. etc. I wanted to touch on those children who are often excluded or rejected in society, and how does it impact on their lives in terms of the peer pressure that they're faced with. So gun and knife crime was one of the themes that we touch on. Absent parents, like I said, but also on the flip side, which is one of the powerful things about the drama, we get to also see it from a parent's perspective. Why are the parents absent? Why is it that these young boys are finding themselves feeling the need to be the man of the house, to get money to bring in the house? And we show that in the play so that people can see it. For the most part, I'm not saying this is the case for everyone, but it's not that these kids are bad, evil kids. It's just that they're trying to find a solution to a problem. So we showcase that in the play as well.
Excellent. Okay, that's brilliant. And we've got so many experts in their field here. Courtney, Karen sort of pointed you out, and you are you the founder
I'm the founder of Father to Father.
Okay, tell us a bit about what you do.
So Father to Father, a little bit of background. So the history is, I was a victim of an absent father.
Okay.
emotionally and physically. So I knew him, but still physically, he wasn't there as I wanted him to be there. I then became the perpetrator. So I repeated some of the things my dad done to me to my 2 older boys. And then within that, I then found, I recognized what I contributed or not contributed to their bringing, and the anger that they were carrying, which I recognized because I was carrying it, and I had to repair that harm. First of all, I apologized to their mums, and then I apologized to my boys who were men at that time, and very angry with me. And that kind of helped. That's kind of one of the reasons why I set up Father to Father, to be able to say to men out there in a non-judgmental way that, you know what, it's never too late to repair that harm with your children.
Yeah.
And it's needed. I work in a school. I do pastoral support, and I've had a lot of discussions with boys and girls who are yearning for their dad's attention. Now, whatever the reason is, whether dad's working too much, mum stopped them from seeing dad, dad's got a new family or party and whatever, they are coming into my office at the school that I work in and opening up to me. Yeah. And I thank the Father Almighty that they are opening up to me, because some of them actually take their anger into the community. Wow. Some of them actually seek, because some of the boys are angry. One of the boys I spoke to one time said, "Mr. Brown, if my dad can walk past me on the road, why am I listening to any man? His own dad walked past him on the road." Angry. Young lady spoke to me about the first time she saw her dad in 2 years. The first thing her dad put her down is, "Why are you so black?" Because her brothers are light skinned.
Wow. So
she was seeking a lot of male attention in school, seeking that love. The boys seeking the affirmation, that who their identity.
Right.
And that's why I set up Father.
That's amazing. And I really, really applaud the work that you've done. And how long have you been?
Well, we've been doing Father for 3 years now. We've done, thinking about it, we've done quite a lot. So we've set up the Father's Room, where we, again, like I said, it's about, for me, it's about dads coming together in a non-judgmental area to talk about their emotions. Yeah. And I think emotions is key here, because a lot of the boys I've spoken to, and girls, but a lot of the boys I've spoken to, they don't know how to manage their emotions. Yeah. And I believe that we, as the adults, are supposed to role model how we manage those emotions. But if you haven't got anybody to role model it, how do you know what to do?
Exactly.
How do you know? How do you know?
And who teaches you?
And who teaches you? Yeah. So that's what we do with the Father's Room. And we've got something called FACES, which is an acronym for Fathers and Children Engagement Service, because our children are the faces of the future. They are. And this is about this is targeting under 11s, taking them away on half term to museums and that, so broaden their horizons, their environment. Let them see there's more than Tottenham, Hackney, there's a bigger world out there. And that's wonderful. So that's what we do at the moment.
That's brilliant. And it's because you were talking and I can see where I guess because you have been in that position before, you fully identify with the whole fact of dads being absent. For a boy, it's so fundamental to have that male role model, and so when you don't, who is teaching you, and that's the key thing. We were having a discussion earlier, and we were saying that whatever happened to the village raising a child, that's totally just gone out of the window. And I think what we'll do is we'll explore a bit more about why that is further on during the discussion. But what I wanted to do is actually pick up with you, Sherica, if that's okay, because as I said, Courtney did speak a lot about the anger that the boys feel, and he touched a little bit about how girls are affected by absentee fathers. Could you elaborate a bit more about that, with the work that you do?
So we work with young girls who are at risk and victims of sexual exploitation, but are also used through county lines as well. Okay. And a lot of the risk factors that we do look out for is vulnerability factors of them, maybe their self-esteem, their confidence, and that usually is down to like neglect or the absence of a dad present in their life, but also a positive role model in terms of their mother too. So if there is a lack of a female like a strong female mother in the household, there's usually a stronger pull outside. So therefore, a guy could easily approach them, say all the words that they want to hear, and then he's got them.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're looking for: the affirmation, the security, the comfort, and someone just to love them, basically. For me, where it concerns young people, I just think that the lack of love is what makes them go outside.
Oh my goodness me. It's just heartbreaking to know that there are young people that are coming into this world who are feeling unloved, and you know, me as a mother, and I know that you are too, we all are actually, we all, so we have now a responsibility to make sure that actually our children do feel loved, and for the most part we do that naturally, by the environment that we create for them, by the support that we provide for them. But how is it that, you know, so many of our young people have come to that place where they are feeling unloved? Is that?
I think that what we try to express more within our work now is the fact that taking into account the parents' history, and the fact that, you know, when a child is born, if the parents have suffered trauma can pass on from the parent to the child as well.
Yeah.
So it's also like learning to identify the parents' trauma, what they've experienced, and how does the fact that the parent hasn't actually explored and dealt with their trauma, and how it affects their capability to parent their child as well.
Right. Yeah.
So whereas you have young girls with their mums may be going through similar situations, and the fact that they may have been sexually abused as a child, and that's just the same way the daughter is seeking love and attention, the mother herself is seeking love and affection, but the mother hasn't been in that place to kind of acknowledge her own issues and to see how what she's going through is affecting her child, and the impact that it's having on their child as well.
I tell you something, this is so eye-opening for me, and I don't know what it is like for the people watching, because knowing that there is such a huge part of our society that actually is just so, there's a reoccurring problem, and actually the damage is not getting repaired. It's not getting repaired. So I want to ask you, Lisa, what do you think that we can do to stop, you know, as a society, as a community, because we were talking about, you know, a village raising a child. What can we do to help with this cycle?
Well, my current job, I do independent social work.
Yeah.
So I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of families that have experienced trauma. I really think that everybody should get behind something like the countdown. Anyone that kind of says it's not my problem, it's not happening to my family, it's not hit my road, my household, you know, God forbid it does actually happen to a member of your family. You know, we speak about and we talk about a lot of the child stabbings, the killings, and a lot of this kind of gang culture, and I've done a master's in criminology because I was really interested in that idea of criminology and crime and victimology, and I wanted to kind of understand, you know, who is a victim, you know, because some of these young people, although they may be offenders, they are victims themselves. They may be victims of a household with no father in the household, a mother who's been abused, a mother who abuses them. They may have a lack of identity. So I really think it's important that we kind of get together. We all represent different organisations here. And what we're doing is we're uniting because we all want the same goal. We want to save a life, we want to impact or empower a parent. We want to be able to give something back, because we're realising that although this may not be our particular problem or our experience right now, I'm tired of hearing about parents where they are experiencing their child being killed at the age of 13 or 14. And you know, I think the stats, while they tell us about the numbers of children that are murdered, we don't necessarily hear about the number of children that are threatened, and based upon that threat they now carry a knife to try and protect themselves, or a child whose mobile phone is stolen, and that creates a climate of fear. And it's that climate and culture of fear that literally is creating like a lawlessness. So I just think everybody can do something by getting behind organisations, you know, church groups, youth groups,
Yeah.
even schools. You can become a school governor.
Yeah.
Everybody can do something. Be an amazing stay-at-home mum.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Karen shares a story. She is a mother of 5.
Yeah.
Although she's an entrepreneur, she's a mother of 5. And that's where it starts. Her heart being a mum and just realising, I have children, I need to do something about this. And everybody has time. Because you may say, well, I can't actually, you know, physically go somewhere and do something or even attend the countdown. Well, then maybe you'll want to pay £10 for somebody else to go because you can't make it. So it's like, you know, if you want to be part of the solution, just find someone that's doing something positive and get behind them.
I love that. That's absolutely brilliant. That's that is
and
brilliant.
practical as well, because a lot of, like I said in the beginning, a lot of people are saying, what can I do? And another thing, a lot of people are saying, well, the problem's too big. It's too big now, it's gone too far now. And the thing is, if we all have that mindset that it's too big, that it's too much, then no one does anything. Then we just stagnate. But the fact is, if we all just do a little something, a little, you know, how do you eat an elephant? What, you don't eat an elephant, really.
You don't eat elephant.
You eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Yes.
That's how you do it. How do you climb Mount Everest one step at a time? So that's how we say, okay, what one life can we impact? What one young person can we steer away from gang and knife crime? What young girl can we snatch from child? Just do one at a time. That's all.
Can I also add something to that as well? I think also we have to create our own narrative in terms of what type of stories are we putting out there in terms of media, because the media would show our young people
like it's just one way.
When actually I know there's a lot of young people doing amazing things in the community, entrepreneurs, going to university and everything. So we have to change the narrative. We have to have our own media and showcase our own young people and what the positive sides of that they're doing. So I think that's another key thing as well that we need to
absolutely, I totally agree with you. And on the subject of young people, so we've got our own young person here. So this is Paris. So Paris, tell us a bit about your involvement with the whole countdown movement.
I am one of the actresses in the countdown. I play the role of a friend, and although my character's not my story is not deeply involved in the play, but I do have a huge part. It's because every person in someone's life plays a huge part. And seeing, you know, the topics that we've chosen for the play, and knowing that there's people that I know who have gone through similar things, and me being one of those young people, it's great to be involved in something like this, knowing that you can spread the word and let people know that they're not alone. Because a lot of the time it's like, you know, well, everyone's going through it, no one's going to listen to me. Or, you know, it's like you feel embarrassed to talk about certain subjects, and I know that it can become a small problem that kind of builds up inside and causes so many more issues. It can evolve into something that you didn't even think it could be. So it's just a shadow. And knowing that I can change someone's life means a lot to me as a young person, especially at this age. You don't know what your capabilities are. And for somebody to come back and tell you, listen, what you've done is amazing. And, you know, I want to step behind you. I want to do what you're doing. I hear what you're saying. I've been through it. Who else can we help? It's a huge thing. And I'm really glad to be a part of it. It's something great.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So how are you feeling about, you know, doing because you did the first run and you're doing the second one, and it looks it's growing. The movement it's snowballing. It's phenomenal. How does it make you feel knowing that you're part of something that actually is growing? Because the potential is for this to go global.
That's right.
How does that make you feel to be part of that?
It is overwhelming. It's exciting at the same time, because it's like, wow, that honestly, this is just my honest, like what I was thinking.
Keep it real, girl.
I was thinking, oh, like, my mum's making me do this. You
Is that how you felt in the beginning?
Yeah, I think, oh, my mum's making me do this. It's just gonna be a little small thing, and it's not really gonna go any further.
Yeah.
And then I done it. I read the script even firstly, and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot to this. There's a plot twist and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, what? Like, so as you're doing it, your mindset kind of changes.
Right.
And it's like, do you know what? I don't see this as, you know, the small thing that it is. I see the potential in it. So from I done it the first time, I kind of knew that wasn't the end.
Yeah.
So I've prepared myself knowing that this is going to be something that's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going to be playing a part in it.
That's wonderful.
Can I just say something about Paris?
Go on.
When I wrote Paris's part, and I've said this to the team, I wrote it as a very small part. Like she was just like an add-on to go into the mixture. But Paris's personality made her part so come alive that we almost had to change the strapline from 4 friends to 5 friends. Because she, like she said, she didn't just take it as, oh, that's my little small part. She was like, I am going to take this thing and run with it. And she did a phenomenal, outstanding. And I think that she, like what Courtney just said, she represents the changing narrative.
Yeah.
That, you know, she's a teenage girl. She could be doing a whole lot of other things. But something in her says, you know what, I can be a part of something that's bigger than me, that can impact those who are like me, and that can go further than I could ever reach on my own.
Yes.
And I think that that's huge.
That
Let's
is
touch
huge.
on that, and I think that's with a lot of young people. Stop having such low expectations of our young people.
Yes.
We have to set the standards
Higher.
higher.
Yeah, definitely.
Higher, and that's what Paris just spoke about. Actually, she's seen a bigger vision now,
Brilliant.
which she didn't know about. But when
Yeah.
she had the
engaged
taste
in
of it and engaged in it, she realised how high and how far she can go. That's what all our young people can do.
All our young people
All
need
our
that.
young people
To
can do.
engage
All
in
our
a
young
vision
people can do that.
bigger than themselves.
Yes, absolutely.
Because right
That's
now
it.
they have no vision.
Vision.
There's no
Yeah.
vision. And as we all know, there's a phenomenal book that says where there is no vision, people perish.
Exactly.
And because they have a lack of vision, all they see is the day-to-day struggle of mum, the absence of dad. That's all they see. That's not vision.
No.
That's enough to make anyone depressed on any level.
Yeah.
But if we can, as a community, engage them in a vision that is bigger than themselves, the possibilities are endless.
Absolutely.
Absolutely endless.
Absolutely endless. So now listen, because we're on a really high note, and I'm gonna take it down a notch, because one of the things that was very clear to me from the play, as a mum, is that there is so much about what's going on out there that I don't know about, you know, going on with our young people. And we've heard instances of young people going missing, you know, and I don't know, I'm sure we've all had a WhatsApp of, oh, please, you know, can you, look out for this child, blah, 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 blah. And then sort of a few days later, maybe 2 weeks later maximum, the child is found. Sherika, is that something that you... Okay, okay, Sherika, could you...
She mentioned County Lines. Tell us about that.
Yeah, tell us about that, please. What is that?
So County Lines, which is known to most young people as country, it's been going on for many years. From when I was younger, I was myself involved in such stuff too. But it's now become increasingly high as the generation has changed. Because for us, it wasn't, even though it was risky, it wasn't how it was back then, if that makes sense. Now there's like more danger and the more vulnerability, because even though we was vulnerable ourselves when we was younger, I think we was a bit more screwed on and like a bit more aware to certain situations. So basically, in London, you have the fact that there's a lot of drug dealers around in London, so there's not enough money to be made in London. So you have a drug dealer that will go outside of London areas, which is county lines, so it could be Weymouth, Southampton, Portsmouth, Manchester, and what they do is basically scope the area, see what the area is like. They'll find a crack addict known as a nitty to them and young people, and they will basically pay this person to use their house as a trap house. Then what they will do is come back to London, and then they will gather a vulnerable young person, it could be a girl or a boy, and they will basically pay them, as they say, we'll pay you like £500. Some of them they say 1,000, but the reality of the situation is sometimes they just get a brand new pair of trainers and £50 to go missing and stay in this trap house to sell drugs to crack addicts that come. In doing this, there is an increasing amount of dangers because there could be three things that could happen. Number one, they could be get attacked by a crack addict for the drugs and robbed by them. Two, the police could probably raid the premises and confiscate all the drugs. Three, fellow gang may, rival gang, may find them, decide that they're going to rob them. And then four, they could be, end up losing the product themselves. And then when they do lose the product, then they owe money to the dealer. So if that scenario ends up happening with young girls, they are usually proposed to pay off the debt through sexual favours. With young boys, they'll have to stay up there for more days to pay the money off as well. So we've got a few girls that have themselves been in that situation. One of our young girls, she ended up owing £800 to a guy because their money got confiscated, but she obviously managed to find her way back to London, and the police and her social workers sorted out that situation. You have some of the situations in regards to the police when they stop. So for instance, yesterday I was in Clapham and a group of boys, not yesterday, so Monday was in Clapham, a group of boys had got stopped by the police, so we kind of obviously went to make sure the boys were okay, and the police officer himself said that at the end of the day, they do if they don't, because they could be potentially a young boy. For one of the boys was 14 and he had £400 worth of money on him. So the police officer said, what is a 14-year-old doing with £400 in cash? And he said, obviously we know that it's county lines, but if we confiscate it, we could possibly put in his life in danger because he would be owing money. So,
my goodness.
Yeah.
So Sherica, this is honestly what you're describing to me sounds like a film, or is it just me? It doesn't even sound real. So Sherica, what can parents do? Because generally speaking, these kids are coming from regular homes, right?
Yeah, so for me, county lines is not exempt to anyone.
Right.
Whereas we would always say vulnerable young people, you see that there is middle class children as well getting moved to county lines as well. So you have young girls where you have a young girl who may be in like a semi-independent residential.
Right.
If it's a standalone unit and it will be where a key worker will just come once a week, they could be targeted by a gang for the fact that they live by themselves.
Right.
The gang can use them to store the drugs for them and just like do regular pickups and stuff. What you're seeing is year sixes. So what we had a discussion with the police the other day where they want us to start considering doing intervention from primary school, because now you have gang members targeting primary schools to groom young people to go and do the drugs as well. So for me, when I see a lot of the missing posters, my thing is, as parents, we always, obviously you want your child to return home safe,
of course,
no matter of a doubt, but I feel like we should be saying where our child was. When your child returns back, where was your child? What did he get involved in? So what we've done now, we've added a return home interview service to us. So when a young person returns home, you've got 72 hours to basically interview the child and find out like where they was they safe, what did you get up to. But with the reality where it concerns county lines and sexual exploitation, a lot of the young people won't open up about where they've gone and who they've been with. But that's due to the fact of it's the police officer interviewing them, so they'll be fair. They're fair in that they could be criminalised because of it. So what the police are currently working on now is to training officers to decriminalise the child, because obviously by the time they interact with the young person, they've already committed a crime. But it's trying to get them to take into account the past history of who groomed that child to transportate the drugs.
Right.
So instead of giving them a conviction,
Right.
you're seeing them as a victim who's
right.
been groomed instead.
Yes, yeah. That's good. So it's good to know that they're sort of making headway and recognising the problem and trying to find a solution. I think for me, as a parent, what I want to know is what are the telltale signs? How could I possibly know that my son or my daughter could be groomed, or is vulnerable enough to be groomed into and to be put in that sort of situation? And what are the red flags that I should be looking for?
So,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you those, but at the same time, it is a bit hard in a sense that if it's a parent who themselves has issues going on, they're not really going to be focusing on the fact that their child can be possibly going through things, because you do have parents who know fully well that their young person is involved in county lines and drugs, but because they are, they may be a single parent home and the parent may not have no money, that money comes in handy to help pay bills and outstanding debts and stuff as well. So it's like almost like this person has taken it upon themselves to be the caregiver for the home and to bring money in financially. But risk factors and vulnerability factors, we looked at previous sexual abuse, historic sexual abuse, affiliations with gangs, missing from school, absent, they may become withdrawn, gifts, so if you notice a mobile phone that they've got, or unexplained items, unexplained money being given to them, question them, where did you get it from? My son himself the other day came home with trainers, and I said to him, whose trainers are those? Those ain't your trainers. Him and his friends decided they were going to swap trainers, so I phoned his friend's mum, and I was like, did you know about this? She's like, Sherica, I just saw the same thing, and I said to him, what are you lot playing at? But you know what I mean? Little things like that. It doesn't matter how innocent it may seem. Still phone, because you don't know where it's coming from.
Absolutely.
What we have at the moment as well, you have other girls are now grooming young girls to come and take part. So that young girl may have an older boyfriend, and her older boyfriend may see the fact that her friend could be vulnerable, and you've got them setting up each other and facilitating in gang rapes as well. So a lot of young girls are getting bullied to participate in activities through sexual initiations and stuff as well. So yeah, looking at withdrawn, mental health, unexplained STIs, self-harming, it's a lot.
How often do you, I mean, like I said, it's disbelief. How often do you see these kind of cases come your way as a social worker?
Well, depending on what job I'm doing, if I'm working in a local authority, it can be daily. And unfortunately, a lot of the referrals can come from schools. A big thing recently has been the social media, whereby young girls or boys may film one another engaging in a sexual act. That then goes viral around the school. The young person then doesn't want their parent to hear about it, but the school has a duty of care. A lot of schools, especially in London, have police officers kind of seconded to the school. So then usually it can be dealt with in-house, whereby the officer can speak to the parent. But we've had cases where some girls, based upon the country that they come from and the family's religious beliefs, they can be sent back to a country. Because the parents may feel like you're becoming too westernized, you weren't like this before, and their way of safeguarding their child is to send the child out of England. So it can be, we can't really criticize a parent that thinks my child is safer abroad with elders or other relatives than here. When Sherica was talking about parents taking money from children, for me the word compromise comes up. Because really the problem is a lot of parents in some of these cases are aware of the fact that my child is not working, my child is bringing me gifts. I've known of cases where a child bought a parent a car, just gave the parent the brand new car keys, and the mum's driving up and down and really happy and excited. But for me, you are as guilty as the individuals
Of course.
that have groomed your child.
Yes.
Because when you turn a blind eye and then one day you start to say to your child, you've got to stop this, or you're putting yourself at risk. If you've had a prolonged period of time where that child, the roles have reversed, and the child is literally taking on the responsibility of raising the younger siblings and paying for bills and looking after mum or dad, sending you on holiday, giving you gifts, what kind of horrors is your child going through to raise that money?
That money?
You know? And as a department, as a like safeguarding practitioner, we have to have some really sad conversations with parents when they start to kind of face the reality that my child is in this. How do I get my child out? My child is now addicted to cannabis, or the cannabis has been spiked with crack. My child is self-harming. And you're absolutely right. Some of these children are from middle-class families where the parents have paid for the children to go to private schools, and they just cannot even relate to the scenario, and they're saying, you know, I'll pay for private rehab. The child doesn't want to go. The child wants to hang with their friends because, you know, growing up I was a gang member, and my gang certainly weren't anything like the types of organised crime gangs that we have on our streets today. We were groups of friends congregating in the park and hanging together, albeit with nicknames. But the thing is, we have young people now that are so enmeshed into these friendship groups and these subcultures that they don't know how to get out. And one of the things that led me to do the masters was when I thought about who is an unknown victim of crime, usually the family members of the offender. Because in a lot of cases, you look at the actual victim of a crime, but you don't, in some cases, look at the mother or the unsuspecting father or siblings of someone who is in this kind of scenario, whereby they decide, I want to get out, but your brother or sister still goes to the school, or you go to prison, but your mum and dad still live in that house, and that house becomes a target. So it is a big problem, but it is a problem that as a community we can address.
Yes.
And I don't believe that it's bigger than a solution. I do believe there's a solution, and the solution is for us to speak about it, expose it, start saying, absolutely, start saying to parents, you know, if you don't know what your child's doing, look under the bed, go in the bedroom, do searches, ask the questions, confiscate the money, phone the police. Do you understand? Because you could be saving your child's life and the life of others. If your child has a bag and they're going out late at night, what's in the bag? Is there a knife in the bag? Are you going to let your child go out? Count your kitchen knives. Do whatever you got to do, because too many of us want to be friends with our kids.
Yes.
And really, you are here to be a steward and a parent.
Yeah.
So, you know, as a practitioner, you know, I have these kind of really difficult conversations with very tearful parents who are kind of facing the reality that I no longer know my child.
Yeah.
I think as well, Lisa, is in that, and I'm just thinking about myself and parents that I've spoken to, is parents getting to that point where they want to take responsibility and not having shame or guilt added on them. And that's what some of the parents are not. They run away from it because they don't want that shame or that guilt. They don't want me, when actually for me, you know, when I looked at the fact of, you know, when I apologized, when I took responsibility for not being there for my children, that's when it opened up everything, and that's where I can talk to, you know, because I'm being vulnerable and opening up so people can see I'm being real. It gives them the safety net to be open up as well and know you're not being judged.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's key as well in terms of how we manage this. You know, so it is about having the right organisations and expertise and support that saying, look, you're not being judged. We've gone through it as well, but there is hope. And
there is hope. So we're going to take a break there, because I think that's a really nice place to stop it, to say there is hope. All is not lost. Change is coming. As long as you commit to being part of that change, there is hope. So we're going to take a break there.
Fantastic.
Okay, so we're back, and we're having a big conversation about the countdown, and we have talked about so many issues, and honestly, you know, the insight that you guys have brought is immense, and I'm hoping that everyone that gets to watch this learns something and doesn't take anything for granted when it comes to our young people. we ended off saying that actually there is hope,
There is hope.
and there absolutely is hope. So, Karen, tell us about
Hope.
hope. Yeah, tell us about
On the
hope.
countdown, again, I said in the beginning that it really was a call and a response, and it really is designed to showcase the fact that there is hope. Because whilst we raise these themes in the countdown as part of a wider campaign, which is the Time for Change campaign, what we're doing is we are connecting with organisations, and we're saying, look, these problems have now been addressed or they've been exposed.
Right.
Now we want to point you to organisations that have solutions to these problems. And that's where the hope comes in, because what we don't want to do is just open a can of worms and say, well, go sort yourself out, all the best. We're saying that there are individuals and organisations within our community that are doing something to tackle these problems. And like Lisa said earlier, our responsibility then becomes, okay, who can I support? Who can I help? Who can I volunteer with? Where can I donate? Where can I come behind and actually be part of the solution? Because I don't know who the quote was, but it's a phenomenal quote. It says, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. There's no middle ground.
Right.
If you're not part of this, and somebody might say, yeah, but gang and knife crime's not my problem, and child sexual exploitation is not my problem, and that's fine. So find where you fit then.
Right.
Find where you fit. But for those of us who this is our problem, and it's not that it's come to our doorstep necessarily, but each of us in one way, shape or form have been touched by this.
Yes, absolutely.
And we're saying, because we've been touched by it, we have a responsibility to be an answer, to be a solution, to be part of that solution. And that's what we're hoping to do with the countdown, to say, look, we're here to support you in doing better as a parent, in making wiser choices as a young person. We're here to support you, and that's what these phenomenal organisations are there for. That's what
wonderful.
they represent.
That's wonderful. So, lastly, just rounding up, someone is watching, and they're saying, do you know what? I see that there's a problem. I want to be part of the solution. What can I do?
Well, I would say let's start where we're at. As I mentioned very briefly, the wider campaign around the countdown. So if you just imagine that the countdown is a seed within a pod of seeds.
Yeah.
The wider campaign is a Time for Change campaign. And what we're doing is we are partnering with individuals and organisations who are part of the solution. And we have set up recently a crowdfunding page. And the purpose of the crowdfunding page is really to fund this movement of the countdown so that we can get as much young people and adults in the room as possible so that they can be exposed to the things that you and I may have been ignorant to, and a lot of parents are ignorant to, unfortunately. And also, with the money that we raise from the crowdfunding, we are looking to develop our own programs. Everyone sitting here has a program that they actually run to solve these problems. And we're also looking to develop other projects. So out of the countdown has come another play that we're already working on to really home in on the child sexual exploitation issues, domestic violence. So we're saying that if we can produce other solutions that will tackle these problems, and then again, as I said, we can point people to organisations and individuals that can be part of the solution. That is what I would say. What can someone do now? Tap into the countdown, tap into Time for Change. And even if we are not it, we will point you to someone, somewhere, somehow, that you can get involved in.
Excellent. So, how can they contact you?
Well, I would say the website.
Okay.
Which is www.time4changeuk.org. So that's time4change uk.org, and then they can go onto our Just Giving page /the countdown, and they can find out more about the campaign, what we're doing, what we're raising funds for, who it goes towards, who we're supporting, how we're helping young people.
And are you looking for organisations?
Absolutely, organisations. Okay. We're looking for sponsorship on two different levels. We're looking for financial sponsors, but also organisations who can sponsor their services.
Yeah.
So, for example, one of the things that I'm finding, a lot of these young people who experience this trauma, they really need basic counselling. They just need a forum where they can go into Mr. Brown's office and just say, this is what's going on. So we need also organisations that are passionate about these challenges and who will sponsor their services. Something, you know, whether it be at a reduced rate or will volunteer an hour a week to counsel or to support, whatever it is. We're definitely looking for people who have a similar passions, similar goals, and who can come on board and say, okay, we're prepared to be part of the bigger picture.
Excellent. Okay, so we need sponsorship help, we need people that are willing to get their hands dirty, and we need financial support.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so...
Can I just say one more thing?
Go, yes, please do.
I was talking to my sister this morning.
Go on.
And I said to her, isn't it a tragedy that, as I'll say our community, but I guess it's also human nature, that we are so reactive as opposed to being proactive. So for example, I have a 14-year-old son, I have 4 boys and a baby girl. I am part of this campaign, Time for Change, where we're rallying together to raise funds, to empower, to protect, to strengthen our young people. And we're saying, everyone, let's get on board. Each one, do what you can. And it's really slow. It's a slow take-up. But if tomorrow my son was to be stabbed and killed, and then I was to put on a campaign and say I need the same amount of money to bury him, I would probably hit my target in half a day. Because we're so reactive. We're like, okay, what do we do now that the problem has happened? As opposed to, what can we do to prevent the problem?
Yes, absolutely.
And that's one of my pet peeves and frustrations, because I want us to look ahead of the problem and say, what can we do to prevent? As opposed to, what do we do now that it has happened? And if more of us can have that mindset that says, okay, let's do preventative work. As opposed to work after the fact. Then that will it will make a huge difference.
A friend of mine's auntie said that we spend money at the wrong time. Instead of celebrating life when someone's alive, we celebrate death. So we throw the party at the end instead of celebrating when they're alive.
So
and it's painful. I was at, I know we're wrapping up, but I was at the funeral, at the reception of a 14-year-old who did get shot recently in Forest Gate, near to where we are now. And as I sat there and watched them put in the room together with the balloons, it was just a wonderful display. I just started literally uncontrollably crying because I just thought, this should be his birthday.
Yeah, we should be celebrating
We should be celebrating his 14th, his 15th. There's no way this should be happening. But like Sherica just says, we can be so back to front in terms of, okay, now that he's dead, let's do this. Well, let's not wait until they're dead to do it. Let's do it now. Let's take responsibility now. And some people will say, well, I don't have the money. Well, that's fine. We're not asking everyone to give money. Give some of your time.
Exactly.
Give some of your talent.
Exactly.
Give something. Give something, though. Because in order to be part of the solution, we're going to all have to dig deep and give something.
Absolutely. So the message here is, don't wait for it to come to your doorstep. Do something now to make sure that it doesn't ever happen to you or anybody that you love. So please, remember that this is our problem. It's not just the problem of the families that have been affected directly, but it is our problem, and we together can be the solution. So I'm going to wrap up now and just remind you all to be the change, and that it starts with all of you. It starts with me. And we all have a responsibility to make our lives count. Please get behind the Countdown movement. We are showing on Saturday the 18th of November at the Bernie Grants Theatre in Tottenham. Please come out, show your support. If you can't make it, as Lisa said, sponsor someone to come and see it. Please, everyone, do your part. And let's just make sure that we give our young people a brighter tomorrow. That's it from me. Thank you so much for your time. And we hope to see you all at the Countdown. Goodbye.
Good night.